This the War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space, now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
You don't want none.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the War Report After Dark.
Yes, sir.
We got a little AJ Styles for obvious reasons, and we'll get into that more when we talk about SmackDown. But welcome everybody to another edition. Once again, as usual, we got quite a bit to cover. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Can't complain, and even if I did, who's going to listen?
Right.
Well,
Thanks a lot, Justin.
That's fair.
Justin even just walked by, said, "Certainly not me."
Hot start.
That's
all right.
love.
So, definitely quite a bit of stuff to cover, but as usual, before we get into the thick of it,
There we go.
we got
First.
we got 4 comments prior to coming on the air. Liv Morgan is the best in the damn business right now as a women's world champion and as a heel. And Liv Morgan heel is awesome and way more better than Trish Stratus heel.
Wow. All right. I'm sure there's not any first-time listeners, but this is a big, massive turnaround from Trish Stratus. Literally everything being about is Trish Stratus coming back at the Royal Rumble. You think she's going to be at WrestleMania. He's done. David is done with Trish Stratus, and he has moved on.
I think the reactions may have just made a reel on this shit.
That was... I mean, I know he did this last week, too, after she won the title, but, like, this is he has now doubled down. Like, he's just like Dominic. He's on team
Steve,
Morgan
you owe me
now.
$10.
I'm not even putting it up and addressing it. This is wrestling. So listen, I will say this in light of what David is saying. This is the best version of Liv Morgan we've seen. I do like her as a heel. I love the build of what they're doing with Dom.
Way better.
I love the whole story, and it's a slow build. It's a tease. You know, we felt it weeks prior to ever seeing anything on TV, and then we got little glimpses, right? Liv getting out of the Judgment Day limo, and then like little things like wearing like something hanging out of her pants that had Judgment Day colors, right? You know, like all this kind of shit, and then the kiss heard around the world. And twice that Dominic inadvertently helped Liv win. It's just all coming. And then what happened last night, 2 segments with Dominic and Liv. The tease is, you know, she flat out said, I said I am going to take everything from her, and that includes you. And I
liked it. I don't care.
I will say this. I'm getting Latino Heat vibes from Dom.
Well, yeah.
The dude is a stud. I mean, to get Jersey Girl Liv Morgan, right? Even if Liv is only using him to get at Rhea, but eventually it's going to turn into something. I love everything about it. And I think as good of a heel as Dominic is, eventually I think he could also become one of the biggest baby faces. And I never thought I could say that with all the boos, but I think a Latino Heat version of Dom is not so far-fetched.
So we are getting the ladder match with the custody of Dom between Rhea and Liv.
Even there's, ever since we mentioned it twice on the show,
Jordan Grace.
I've been seeing it everywhere. What?
Jordan Grace tweeted about it. She's like, if they're not doing a ladder match for the custody of Dominic, then what are we even doing here?
I'm telling you, put him in a fucking cage and hang him over the ring. It would be amazing.
It's got to be happening. Like, it would be.
It's got to be better than Buff Bagwell's mother.
Hey, she was on a forklift.
Vince, I'm going to let you read this one.
Oh boy, you heard what said? Yeah, Nadia Comaneci invented yoga as a women's gym. Is this true? That will be in the year 48 years ago, July 18th, 1976. So that's the perfect 10-day. Yeah, because that was the Summer Olympics. That would make sense.
Am I the only one that doesn't give a shit?
I don't. I mean, no. Listen, it's not. It's fascinating for a different reason, Stephen.
Well,
because he knows so much.
It is true.
I'm curious. Was Dave actually born for this in 1976?
Right.
Did he saw it, or is this just nostalgia? Because I know about the Nadia stuff too, but I'm curious if he saw it.
Yeah, I was not born. I was not born.
I know you weren't.
Happened. Yeah, so I'm. Yeah, I wonder if David was a. David, let us know. Are you a you know, you don't have to give us your exact age. Just kind of give us a hint.
Give us a checkbox. 42 to 45, 50 to 55.
Mind blown. Read the next one.
Trish Stratus is a mice to Nadia Comaneci as a 7-time women's champion, and Trish Stratus versus Liv Morgan for the women's world champion at Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Money. You know what? Never changed, David. All that stuff I said 5 minutes ago about how you were over it. I disagree. You're back on board. I knew he was back on board.
Can David let us know what gummies he's having so we can get some?
Oh, he's in California. They're way stronger.
I probably have them.
Did you guys see the governor, Jesse Ventura, has a Ventura Farms, and he's selling both marijuana flower and edibles?
That's actually a really great impression.
I've been working on it.
But there's nobody that does a better impression than Karrion Kross.
Oh, he does it. Will Sasso from Mad TV.
Yes, he does a good one too.
Yep.
But this is true. I'm getting advertisements on Facebook for Ventura Farms, and it's a video. Hi, I'm Jesse Ventura. Do you want to get high? Try my edibles. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy shit. I'm like, what? Ventura Farms. Sure, Jesse.
Don't tell me it didn't happen. I was there. I was doing tricep extensions in the Gulf of Tonkin. I'm a frog neck, so are you. Chris, come on now. We ain't got time to bleed you.
That's Karrion Kross. It's so spot on. So yeah, about that. Listen, David, I love you, dude. I really do. But I need you to get out of your head this idea that Trish and Liv is happening, or at least anytime soon. They already have everything set in place. This is culminating with a Rhea versus Liv annihilation.
Yes.
And one of the biggest babyface returns we've seen in the women's division in a long time. So until we get way past that, this is a pipe dream, my friend. It's not happening anytime soon. Do I think that, listen, we will always say never, so I will never say never. And Trish always has said she would return if it was right. They could make this something, but it's not necessary anytime soon. Right now, they have a bigger picture in their head of where it's going to go. We also have Tara. Hey, guys. She agrees with what we're talking about. And yes, I'm assuming that has to do with Karrion Kross being Jesse Ventura. But yeah, he does a great impression. Did you also hear, too, that Jesse Ventura is talking about coming back to wrestling?
I did hear this one, too, yeah.
Not as a in-ring competitor.
Almost like back in
like
the
a play-by-play.
Gorilla Monsoon and everything. Yeah.
Right.
He's negotiating a Legends contract right now, Shivani.
Listen, I did like Jesse as a commentator.
I did too.
He was great.
He was
him and Vince McMahon played off well.
He worked well with everybody.
Him and Gorilla Monsoon, like during every time, like Tito Santana, he called him Chico Santana.
There was nobody that couldn't get along.
Flying burrito.
There was nobody that couldn't do the job well with Gorilla Monsoon next to you.
Fact.
I mean, he was, you talk about, I still say the greatest duo of all time is still Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
For sure.
Those two played off each other so fucking well. Heenan as the shithead heel and Gorilla with the, oh, will you stop? And everything about it was great. And I gotta tell you, I would have said Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross as a close second.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, man, these days,
Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, man.
all day. All fucking day.
Yep.
If you go on TikTok, sometimes they show video of Michael Cole at the desk with McAfee, and even like but even stuff that isn't airing on TV, like you hear them talking, and McAfee always has Cole pissing in his pants. Like, it's just fucking great. It's
like
just
the Ricochet Puma thing was fucking hilarious.
I was at a point where I could not stand listening to Cole.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
And
he was awful. For a long time.
McAfee brought the life back into him, and it makes me tune in to see them, to listen to them. And McAfee is just fucking gold.
And admittedly, because even Michael Cole said that he was considering stepping back and just being that. He said, them putting you in that chair is what made me want to keep doing this.
Hands down.
He told him that on the Pat McAfee show or whatever.
He hasn't sounded this engaged with it since Taz was doing commentary with him all those years ago on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like I liked that pairing too. That was a fun one. But yeah, this is a different Michael Cole. I mean, so much improved. You know what? There's something about not having a guy screaming in your headset every 2 minutes to hit some kind of fucking catchphrase or some stupid, phrasing that only sports entertainment production companies would use. You know what I mean? Local medical facility and shit like that. To not have to worry about that and just go out there and call it as you see it. And that's the most, I think, I've heard JR talk about it, and other people talk about commentary. You call it as you see it. You call it as if it's a shoot. And, he was being hamstringed. He was being overproduced, let's say. That's a good way to put it. He was being very overproduced, where he was just kind of like, basically he was just saying the commentary that the guy on the headset couldn't go out there. So the guy on the headset was telling him. So he was just constantly listening and just repeating that, and he wasn't.
Listen,
there's no emotion behind that. So
even
now that
Mick Foley has said one of the worst gigs he ever accepted was commentary. He said, because there's nothing worse than sitting there and having Vince screaming in your ear for 3 hours.
I don't know how you could do that, because listen, I work at a radio station. It's completely different. But I think if I was sitting there trying to do a radio talk break and somebody was in my headphone telling me what to say, I wouldn't be able to speak until that person was done. Like, it would just not, the words wouldn't come out. It would just be way too confusing. So it's kudos to Michael Cole to be able to pick that up in his ear and then relay it so quickly, because it seems like he was constantly being fed lines to say, and he just had to get them out there as fast as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. So listen, we got to talk about SmackDown, right? And the build up to the main event. I think it was the main event, which was AJ addressing the fans. Similar to what we've experienced with Mark Henry, which was one of the best performances of Mark Henry's career. There are things that you will never forget about Mark Henry's career, and that segment was one of them, because he really got you to believe that he was finished. In my head, AJ's coming out, and he's suited up, and this and that, and he's bringing out the OC, and I'm thinking, this is a work. This is Mark Henry all over again. I knew it. I felt it, right?
Right.
And then he gets in the ring, and he's talking, and he's doing his thing, and for a minute, I said, well, maybe this is legit.
That was
like
too much.
he did such a good job to me that I started to doubt myself a little bit and think, well, maybe I don't know it. And then he called out Cody, and then I was like, this is John Cena. This is a fucking work. And then it was the work. But here's also one thing that worries me a little. Mark Henry did it. It was a great work. But Mark Henry did retire shortly thereafter. Like, I don't even think it was a full year. So is that on the horizon? Is AJ getting ready to really hang it up sooner than later? I mean, I know there's been talks that, he sees retirement in his future. But, that could be 2, 3, 4 years or 6 months.
Right.
So, Tara also thought it was legit. So, I don't know.
I think, for me, as soon as you see the baby blue jacket, which is like the direct color opposite of a salmon pink jacket, I was like, I know what's happening here. That was the.
But at no point during that promo did you sit there and think, well, all right, maybe this is.
No, I'm too cynical. Like
Yeah. Especially when he called out Cody Rhodes. As soon as he called out Cody,
yes, that seals it. If there was any doubt,
if you had any doubt, this was it. Yeah.
Because then what, unless the only other.
Well, that's why I said too. As soon as he called out AJ, right away I thought of John Cena. I said, all right, it's a work.
Right, or the only other option it could have been is he would say, Cody, I respect you so much, blah blah blah. I'm going to retire after this pay-per-view. If I don't win the title, I want you to be my last opponent. If that's the case. And then that's the setup. Like if it was a babyface, babyface versus babyface kind of thing. But no, I was pretty. As soon as I saw the jacket, I was just like, I know where this is going. Like there was just something about.
But it was well done.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ really did a great job selling it, and it was a great segment. The beatdown was great.
So is he back with the OC now? I thought he wasn't with them.
I don't know. I could tell you that I purposely looked over at Gallows and Anderson on the outside when the turn happened, and I say turn, but the turn on Cody happened, and Gallows was laughing his ass off. So I maybe they are back together, maybe together without Michin, because she's been pretty vocal about he hasn't really talked to us at all. She's kind of been doing a lot of work in NXT again, so who knows what's going to happen with her. Tara, I don't want him to, but the man's 47 years old. I honestly wouldn't blame him if he didn't. Well, nobody could blame him for it, but, it would suck. He still seems to be in great shape. He doesn't get injured like most of the other guys. Yes, he's up there in age, but there's guys that have done it for another 20 years past that age. I mean, listen, not that I want to see this, but look at Ric Flair. I mean, that motherfucker, if you told him to get in the ring now, he still would.
I think AJ probably is going to be finishing up soon. And again, we don't know what soon is, but like you said, he's 47. I would imagine by the time he's 50, maybe even sooner, he'd want to stop going full time. And, that doesn't mean you're dead or, retired.
He can still come in.
Right. He could show up at a Rumble. He could show up for surprise tag team partner, help in a War Games. You know what I mean? A Survivor Series match where you need one more guy and they call out AJ Styles from retirement. Any number of things like that. He can still work the indies. If he wanted to work a match on the indies, he can still make appearances. Like you're still going to see AJ Styles. You think he's going to retire and put down all that convention money? Like he could go to every comic book convention and wrestling convention, whatever, on... you sweep the East Coast, you go around the whole summer, you do a tour of that and you make bank and then you're done. Like you don't have to do anything else but sign autographs.
Dave Abbey over at YouTube. This is all because they don't have a monster heel for Cody. This is going to be really bad title reign if it stays like this. Listen, he's not wrong. They really don't have anyone for Cody, and that's why they're keeping this feud going. Plus, they don't really have anything for AJ either. The problem I have with this is that AJ is going to lose again.
Right.
So, I don't see how this helps AJ in any way, and then where do you go from there? I mean, maybe this will be the end for AJ. He loses again to Cody and says, fuck it, I'm really out. But Dave's right. I mean, what's next for Cody? Who's going to be, the only person I see right now where it makes sense and there's already a built-in story is Randy Orton.
Absolutely.
But then you got to be ready to turn Randy heel.
I don't think so.
Oh, I do. They're not going to chant for Randy over Cody right now.
Well, they're
all
not.
these
but
fucking kids.
I think I don't think you could. I think Randy's a guy that you could put him in there, not as necessarily a heel. Like Bret Hart used to have to do this. Like when Bret Hart wrestled Diesel and they were both baby faces, he was like, he played a little more of like the wily veteran, and that could be the story of like Randy wants to challenge his former young boy because they were in that stable together, Dynasty or whatever it was, you know, that could be the story. It's like, hey, I'm going to try and use my veteran tricks on you. And like, he brings out the heelish stuff, but like, and wrestles like a heel effectively for the match. But at the end of it, when he puts Cody over, they're cool. Like he was just like, hey, this was all kind of like a test to see if you're ready to be the guy and like position it that way. So he can be a heel, but like, he's not when he's done with it, he can go back to getting the reactions that he's been getting, because Randy Orton's super over as well as a babyface right now, especially with the way he's all freaking gacked out and jacked up right now.
Well, and not only that, now every crowd since France is singing him out to the ring. And,
that's crazy.
And the other thing too is like, I love Randy either way, right? I've always loved him as a face. I've loved him as a heel. He's versatile. He can do either one. But I almost feel like, to me, it seems like Randy's having more fun now than he's had in a very long time. And if you turn him heel, it might take away that. Like, I think he's really feeding into the crowd. I mean, every time the crowd starts singing him out to the ring, you see his face and he's smiling and he's looking around and he's like, yeah, you guys keep singing. Like, he's into it. And,
right.
I don't know. I mean, he'll make it work either way. But.
Here's then the issue. We spent so much time with Roman Reigns as the guy, and everybody lost to him to the point where they're not very credible. And now Cody beats him, and now he's in the same spot where he has to beat a bunch of non-credible guys a bunch of times to kind of like make this a worthy title reign. And it just seems like, I mean, you could turn Kevin Owens and do that match, but to me, I mean, listen, both guys, great, but like, you look at the marquee, I do not see Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes being a compelling main event match for any pay-per-view.
You know what though? But if the story, if they did it right, those two are so good they can make it great, and the match would be phenomenal. They can both go.
Here's the other thing: if Shinsuke Nakamura got even one,
I've given up on Shinsuke.
But no, I agree. I completely agree. He's out. He should be 1,000% out on Cody. He should not challenge. But if they gave him one fucking win in the last year against Cody, he faced him 27 different times on TV. It felt like he was wrestling him every other week. If he gave him one win. One cheapy win, then he can go, oh, Cody, I pinned you in Peoria, Illinois on that house show that one time. I want a title match. And then at least it kind of makes sense why he challenges for it. But a guy like Shinsuke isn't credible.
Well, but here's, let me, you know what though? It doesn't necessarily have to be anyone credible. And here's why I say that. Money in the Bank is not far. So anybody on any given night can cash in that briefcase at the right moment and be victorious. And it wouldn't hurt the champion in any way because it's kind of a cheap way of,
Right.
If you think about the people that are potentially going to be in Money in the Bank and who could potentially win Money in the Bank, I mean, not for nothing, Main Event Jey Uso has just announced that he plans on winning Money in the Bank. That motherfucker hasn't won any significant match since this whole Main Event Jey Uso thing, which hasn't hurt him at all. Don't get me wrong. He's developed one of the greatest entrances on television right now, and he's beyond over, so it's not hurting him. But eventually, you throw enough shit against the wall, it has to stick eventually. Maybe this is what you do, and maybe Jay cashes in. And, and he gets, it wouldn't even necessarily turn him heel because he's so over.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. LA Knight, I mean, the list goes on. Bronson Reed, depending on who you put in this Money in the Bank, you know what I mean? Braun Strowman, right? I mean, talk about credible. The way they've been booking Braun lately, he's just an absolute monster.
Right.
And he
I'm
goes,
getting a
Except
little
with-
tired. I'm getting a little tired of McAfee calling him big son of a bitch because he just is overusing it now.
Well, I think he's going to be done using the word bitch after the whole Caitlin Clark thing. So he's probably.
Oh
Gonna
my
calm down on
god, that is so.
It's so annoying.
But
Dude, he wasn't knocking her.
no, I know exactly. He wasn't.
That's what pisses me off. He was saying, if you want to talk about this and everything, you want to know why the WNBA is doing so well. And he goes, "This white bitch right here." It was
Right,
not
that's like a
knocking her
yeah.
down.
It's just the way he talks, man. They don't understand it. But here,
That's why I made the comment. People that don't watch sports should not be commenting about sports. If you don't,
People
understand,
are always
why
going to
are you
make
listening?
comments. People are keyboard warriors.
I know. And then the poor guy apologized.
Which
Well,
he didn't need to. I'm sorry.
No, he probably did need to because WWE probably was like, "Hey, put out an
Or
apology."
ESPN or somebody, yeah.
Or TKO.
But stupid.
Yes, I agree. It's very fucking stupid. But enough of Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. I'm so fucking over it already.
So he's not going to call him a big son of a bitch anymore. But, that is a good idea because Braun is one of those guys that you could, he could beat. Can I just bring up one minor quibble? And it's been a thing for several years now. And I'm just – the Crossroads, anybody that uses the reverse diving neck breaker, not the over, but whatever you call it, it's a fucking jobber finisher. It's day one of indie wrestling training finisher. And he proves that every time by having to use it 3 fucking times in a row. Can he get any other fit? I don't care what it, I don't super kick, something like I need something better than the indie reverse DDT rolling STO garbage that I don't like it. I just don't. This is not a new thing. I've never liked the Crossroads, and people kick the fuck out of it. Can somebody explain it to me? He has to hit it 3 times in a row. Why don't you? If you have to hit your finisher 3 times in a row, get a new finisher, right?
Kind of homage to a hat trick, I guess, like Eddie Guerrero.
I guess, but it's he did that in the middle of the match, so people. I don't know.
I get it, but I think the hat trick thing, is similar to the Three Amigos. It's more as a audience pleaser, as well as. I know.
It's like a
setup for the people's elbow. It's like a setup for the people's elbow. Come on,
I'm applying
at least a good-
I'm applying my bias for pro wrestling to a sports entertainment show. I have to change.
But look at it this way: it's a good 40 seconds of The Rock throwing the armband, setting himself up, doing his arms. Then
but that was like a heel. That started as a heel thing.
But no, he did it heel and face. But he did it both ways.
Right, but it started as
it started when he was a heel.
Right.
He did it to mock people, and then it just got over. Dave Abbey, I'm scared that they're going to rush into a Cody Wyatt family feud that's only going to last for a couple of months, and then the storyline is going to end prematurely. I think it would be a massive mistake to have this new Wyatt 2.0, whatever it's going to be, Wyatt 6, whatever, come in and go right after Cody. I agree. I think that would be a massive mistake. I think, and I said it last week or the week before, I think the best way to bring them in, quite honestly, is on Jey Uso. Because they can use the fact that the Fireflies are coming out during his entrance, or, they can tie that in, because now that's kind of what it is. And he even, as we made mention, that was, Jey Uso made mention of that it was a tribute to Bray. So, that
With
could...
JoJo's permission.
Right. So that could, we'll see. But Dave's not wrong.
That would make more sense.
I stand on it, though. I still say that whenever Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt come in or whatever, I say their first fight and mess up is going to be with the Final Testament.
Well, that would be a mistake also. Because the Final Testament hasn't done dick. So they'll just get destroyed anyway.
But that might be the chance to not be dick. Can you imagine if Paul...
They're gonna
Wait. So, hold on. So, all this build, right? And we finally get the debut of Howdy and this new whatever Wyatt deal is going to be, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't think they're going to go over?
No, I said they're going to go over. I said,
of course they're going to go over. But this is only going to hurt the Final Testament, who hasn't done fucking dick.
I don't think so, because I think caliber match-wise or whatever, faction versus faction always brings in a lot of momentum.
Yeah, but I think it hurts them more. They need to get wins. Like AOP finally beat the New Day. You know, they got a win, but the group carrying still isn't doing shit. You know,
I agree. But I'm just saying faction-wise, because that would be that if we have Scarlett, if we have, you know, Nikki.
I need more Scarlett in my life. She needs to be on every fucking week.
Don't we all?
I agree. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to have an entire faction and have like Nikki Cross or whoever in it, and then you have this other faction that already has Scarlett in it, why not make it a fact? You can't do it against like what is it, the Pride?
Because to me, the Final Testament as a group has to start winning before they take another loss to a debuting new Wyatt family. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think the timing is off, you know. And of course, Dave Abbey, don't get me started on how they've mismanaged the Final Testament. Dave is a big carrying guy, and he's lost all hope. And I'm starting to get there myself.
Let's put it this way, though. What does it do then if they go out? But if the new Wyatt 6 comes in or whatever, what does that do for Jey Uso to take a loss to the Wyatt 6? It doesn't do anything for Jey Uso either.
It hurts the Final Testament a hell of a lot more than Jey Uso. Jey Uso hasn't won a big match in 3 months, and it hasn't devalued or hurt him even a little.
But that's going to be a little bit different when you're talking about the Wyatt.
Yeah, but I think here's the thing. I think the Final Testament, this could go one of two ways if this is the first feud. It's an easy first feud for the new Wyatt family because obviously they're going to win. Their reputation of the Final Testament is not good, so the expectation is that the Wyatt family would win, and you would hope that during the feud they would look good and then maybe put on good performances. But on the flip side of that, you put the new Wyatt family against the Final Testament, and people go, why are the Wyatts feuding against these jobbers? I have no interest in this. And then, you know, it goes south for both teams where the new Wyatts don't get a good start because they're feuding with a team that nobody has interest in. I don't know. I do think they need a group to feud with and not just one guy.
That's more my issue of why I'm saying why it should be Final Testament or something, because they're the only, like I said, it can't be the Pride.
See, but I think when they first come in, I don't think it has to be against another group. You have people within the Wyatt attacking different people. You know what I mean? Like you have Alexa Bliss, assuming she's there. You have her right away going after, let's say, Liv, as an example. I mean, fuck, have them go up against Judgment Day. Judgment Day is on the outs anyway. That would be a good group.
That could be the breakup of the Judgment Day.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. So that wouldn't be bad. But I don't think they necessarily have to come in and fight a group. You have different people within that attacking different people and just raising hell. Like, this is our show now kind of thing. You know what I mean? Plus, we don't know.
Every week. That's true. Yeah.
Plus, we don't know how they're going to bring them in. Are they going to bring them in as face or heel? Because right now, people are so excited about, you know, all the teases and the QR codes again and putting the puzzle together. So, obviously, we'll know as soon as they debut and who attacks who. We'll know if they're heel or face.
So
I don't even think it matters if they're heel or face. I think they're still going to get the crowd.
They're still going to get cheered no matter what.
No, I get it. But they'll get cheered, and then if they attack a fan favorite, maybe they'll start to get booed.
Yeah.
You know. But.
So here's my question about the Jey Uso thing. If they do go after Jey Uso, and no offense to the wonderful Bo Dallas, but are we really to expect? But here's my point. The feud is going to be Jey Uso versus Uncle Howdy. And Uncle Howdy is Rotunda, you know, whatever his name is. And he's, like, again, unless he's really kind of put the time in behind the scenes, the Performance Center, while he's been off TV, I hope, because, like, he's got the expectation of being almost as good as his, like, he doesn't have to be as good as his brother, but he just has to be close enough where people won't mind. But man, if it's the Uncle Howdy that we saw 2 years ago leading up to that blackout match and that bump that he took, then I'm not terribly excited about it. So I really hope that they have some kind of contingency plan. But do you think it's just
Listen,
going to be Captain
not for
Howdy or
nothing,
whatever?
I will say this. Bo Dallas was never bad in the ring. He was actually very good in the ring. It's the gimmick that killed him. The whole Bo leave and this and that, it was fucking stupid. Every gimmick he's had has sucked.
Well, yeah, for sure.
The Uncle Howdy thing, if done right, is going to be great. And the fact that he even sounds like Bray.
Yeah.
There's a lot that they can do and still keep Bray's name alive. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see where it goes, to be honest.
And here's the other thing I think regarding challenging for the title, and we'll read Dave's comment there. I kind of disagree, but we'll get into this in a second. He shouldn't challenge whoever it is in the new Wyatt family should not be going after Cody immediately, because they did that with the Fiend going after Seth, but then they realized that they didn't want the Fiend to win the title right away, so they had to have a bunch of fucky finishes, and the matches were.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like a disqualification during a Hell in the Cell match that has no DQ
for using a smaller
screwdriver and a hammer and a toolbox.
Seth used a smaller hammer than Bray Wyatt had 10 minutes before that. He had a gigantic Harley Quinn mallet, and that was okay. But the sledgehammer was we can't get into this again. But here's what I'm saying: that's why they should start with somebody a little bit lower on the card and then work their way up, because you don't want that situation
and not have the title defenses like that in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's true. Dave Abbey, Bray wasn't a ring technician. He was just intimidating.
Disagree.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree. I think Bray was very, very good in the ring. Yes, he was intimidating, especially when he was the whole Fiend and evil Mr. Rogers. He was intimidating, but he was very good in the ring. I wouldn't take anything away from that.
If you went back and look at him, even like he wasn't a fan of portraying Husky Harris, but even when he was Husky Harris, the man could move in the ring. He absolutely was.
And listen, there was a point where obviously he was not in a good way physically towards the end of it, and his ring work tailed off, and you're like, why was that last WrestleMania match so weird? I
will say this though, to Dave's point. He wasn't an in-ring technician like a Chris Benoit, like an Eddie Guerrero, like a Bret Hart, but I think he was very, very good in the ring. Sister Abigail, go ahead.
And Dave, you're right. The Sister Abigail is essentially Crossroads, but you know what? It only ever took one of them to pin somebody.
Yeah.
He never did it 6 times in a row.
And then he started using the mandible claw.
Right, then he finished. Now he's a mandible claw. So even he realized it was a fucking NXT finisher.
Right. But even if we're talking about like a ring technician or whatever, the variations of a ring technician, I would put the Big Boss Man as a ring technician, but he wasn't a Bret Hart or a Shawn Michaels or anything like that. There's different levels when you're the big guy.
I don't know that I agree with Big Boss Man.
But here's the thing with Bray.
That's fine, but I'm just saying there's different levels.
Dude, 88 Boss Man.
Yeah.
Oh. Dude, he was on fire. He was.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Boss Man when he was with the corporation or when he was with WCW.
No, when he was running around with Hogan, when he was doing
when he was tag teamed with Akeem, that guy was a ring technician. He went toe to toe with Mr. Perfect.
But then and then Bray Wyatt. I mean, Bray Wyatt against John Cena at WrestleMania. I really liked that match.
I agree with that.
He should have won. He beat the shit out of Bryan Danielson. At a Royal Rumble, was that 14 or 15? And that
Bam Bigelow. Now that was a technician.
Yes, Bam Bam, big guy, ring technician. Yeah, so Bray Wyatt wasn't quite Bam Bam's level, but I think
and badass enough to tattoo his entire fucking head fire.
And he had to keep getting it touched up. Yeah, but but Bray Wyatt, I think that was the thing. He was like a big guy. He did enough in the ring where his moves were impactful, but it was more like it was the cardio, it was the hustle. He could keep up with lighter and smaller guys. He wasn't doing, tope con heroes or whatever, but he was keeping up with smaller guys. And I think
that's where I'm putting in the technician aspect when I say the Big Boss Man. He went toe for his size, and he was bigger in '88 than he was in the later years. He could go toe to toe.
Did I ever tell you guys the day that I met Bam Bam Bigelow?
No, I don't think
so. If you did, it was a long time ago, and I don't remember.
So, I had the honor and privilege of going to WrestleMania 10.
Oh, hell yeah.
At Madison Square Garden, which we all know was the first ever ladder match, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon for the IC title. A lot of great things happened. That was the night that Bret Hart won the title and had the match with Owen, and then Yoko. It was a whole thing. But anyway, we went to the Fan Fest. Believe it or not, they still did a Fan Fest even then. Nowhere near to the level that it is now, but they did do a Fan Fest. So it went
between Penn Station and Madison Square Garden.
Correct. And I went and I got to meet a bunch of the guys. And in one of the booths, it was Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon together because she was managing him at the time. And I'll never forget, I go up and I get a picture and an autograph with both of them. Luna was cool as hell. And I look at Bam Bam and I go, again, this is WrestleMania 10. So I was young. I was probably 14, 15, somewhere in there. And I go, Bam Bam. I said, is that real? The head? And he looked at me, he goes, of course it is, kid. Go ahead. And he put his head down and he let me rub his head.
Oh, that's cool.
But it was cool, and I was, but this Fan Fest was amazing. This was Yoko versus Undertaker in the casket match. So on display, they had Yoko's casket. And me and my boy stood side by side inside the casket, and there was still room. Just to give you an idea how massive this casket was, because it had to fit Yoko. But we also met, that's the first time I met Scott Hall.
Undertaker didn't wrestle at WrestleMania 10.
No, maybe they didn't wrestle that one. Maybe they just had the casket on display.
Yeah,
maybe it
was that was the Bret Lex Luger Yokozuna. WrestleMania 10.
So they had it on display.
Yeah,
maybe the casket match was the year before.
But they bring that casket was a thing that when they brought to fan access or whatever,
they brought it around.
I know what you're talking about because it was right by the stairs outside the right. Yep.
Correct. And then that was the first time I got to meet Razor Ramon, where I got his toothpick. I had no shame in my game, so we go up and I get the picture and autograph, and I go, Can you do me a favor? I was like, can I have your toothpick? So he had one in his mouth, right? And then he had one behind his ear, like he always had. Right. So he took the one in his mouth and he did and he threw it at me and then pulled out the other one, put it in his mouth. So I have the toothpick still. To this day, it's in the photo album somewhere.
Great.
And then we got to meet Dink and Doink.
Yep.
We met Dink and Doink. Doink was in a dunk tank. So you got to throw balls and get him in the dunk tank. Like, it was very cool, like the way it was all set up. But we got to meet a lot of the guys.
Did you do the hangout spot with Men on a Mission too?
Yes, I got to meet Men on a Mission.
There it is.
Yeah, we did that. And then we met Lex Luger, because Lex Express, so we got to meet Luger.
Randy Savage let you look around and everything.
Randy Savage wasn't there. Randy wasn't there at the Fan Fest. Not when we were there.
So you went the day before, not the day of.
No, we went the day before. So Savage wasn't there. We didn't meet Crush because he was the next day. I think that might be it. But no, that was the first time I met Howard Finkel and Stan Lane. Stan Lane was there.
Stan Lane.
And I got to meet Stan Lane. I think that was it. I don't remember anyone else that was there, but it was very cool. And then, of course, that was my first WrestleMania. Yeah. So imagine your first WrestleMania is this one. It was very cool.
So if you went on the day of the morning one or whatever, what's his name? I'm a hair club for men that was there, Cy Sperling or whatever.
Oh, he was the big sponsor. Yeah.
Yes, and he was giving out the fake hair to put on your head to take pictures with him and Howard Finkel. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's funny. But it was.
My dad was going around looking for Rhonda Barrett the whole time.
It was a good time, man. They always do a great time, even now too. Like if you have a chance to actually go to a Mania and go to a Fan Fest, I mean it's 5 times what it was back when my first time going.
Compared to the ones that I went to, like the couple times it was in New Orleans and the couple times it was in New York, in the last few years, last decade or whatever.
Yeah,
they had big access things, and it's even big. Like it's just huge now.
Huge.
It's its own thing.
Well, now they do a whole thing where they have an entrance ramp set up, and you can recreate your favorite wrestler's entrance, and there's a commentary booth you can sit and do play-by-play, and then they have certain times of the day, certain wrestlers where you can stand online for 45 minutes and get a 30-second interaction, but at least you get that interaction.
Right.
But as a kid like you, I agree. The other funny thing was, Vince, the Mounties were there. And you could sing with them, so they would be out there and they go, "We're the Mounties."
Yes,
and you got to sing it with him. It was so funny.
I remember watching footage of an old Access where, in the Attitude Era, you could call a match with Kevin Kelly. Oh boy!
Oh my God!
Could you imagine? There are kids with a VHS tape from WrestleMania Access in their closet somewhere of them calling like Steve Austin winning the Royal Rumble with Kevin Kelly. Like, not even JR. Like, no knock on Kevin Kelly, but I mean, come on. If you're going to want to do this live commentary thing, you want to do it with, like, somebody that's on the scene.
I would kill for, like, a Coliseum video thing to be able to do, like, something with Sean Mooney.
I think did they do that kind of thing at StarCast? I feel like Conrad had that set up at StarCast where like you could do that with Shivani and Mooney and all the guys who aren't under contract right now.
I'm sure Conrad would be the one
and if not, that should absolutely be a thing at every convention where you get to do live commentary with whoever's there. Like I would, I mean, why wouldn't you want to like with Shivani and you go, "Shut up, Shivani"? You know,
I would pay money to do it with McAfee.
But you remember, like if you were giving the WWF news, you had all the little TVs behind you, and it was like Sean Mooney giving you breaking news every Saturday.
Oh yeah, that was the best.
That one's like, but that was like the week after Elizabeth even got slapped. It was the whole thing that the slap heard around the world, and there's Sean Mooney and his tie and everything, like reporting like this was like he was Ted Koppel.
All right, so moving on.
Right along face from Steve.
I'm trying to think of where we should go from here. Trying to think of something else big that happened. I mean, we'll shift to Raw. I mean, we've kind of been jumping around anyway, but I'm getting a little worried about Jade and Bianca because they're running into the same problem in the tag team issue where there's no credible women tag teams to even put them up against. And if the best you can come up with is shit-stained Starks and Baszler, we got a problem.
Oh my God!
Gosh!
No joke. I was sitting there last night just thinking, please don't win, Shayna and Zoe. Please don't win. I don't want to hear Steve tomorrow night if you guys take the tag team titles.
It would not have been pretty. It would not have been pretty.
I would be interested in hearing that, but why?
We'd still be talking about it 50 minutes into the show.
This is true.
It would be a 3-hour show of me just bitching and complaining about shit-stained Starks.
What kind of sick person in WWE, because I know Vince is gone, so this has to be Triple H or somebody else with a sense of humor, paired up Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, the two women who most look like rescue dogs on the roster. Like, you know, they just both have facial features that, like...
Oh my God.
Only a mother could love.
I know I should be defending women here, but I can't.
Listen, the bottom line is it doesn't necessarily much matter about the looks. Shayna Baszler is amazing in the ring.
Oh yeah, no, she can wrestle her ass off. It's just that when she faces
they need to get rid of the turd that is. They need to get rid of the turd that stands next to her all the time.
The personalities to match. The personalities to match, Dave. Good Lord. Geez, Tara thought it was going to happen. Kat, I honestly thought it was going to happen.
That they were going to win? Oh God.
No, they can't. They can't.
I would have canceled the show tonight. I don't even think I would have been able to even come on. I would have just said we're taking a week off.
The only time that would be acceptable for that to ever happen is if Steve is on a cruise or on a vacation somewhere where he doesn't have Wi-Fi and he finds out when he docks.
No.
Yeah, that would be better.
No. Something catastrophic happens when I go on a cruise, which, by the way, I should mention...
Would you consider Zoe Stark being the tag team champion of the world catastrophic to your life?
No, that would just be the end of WWE completely.
Oh my God.
I should probably mention that in 2.5 weeks, I will be on a 3-dayer cruise. So please all pray that nothing happens on those 3 days, because usually something does.
All right, we might have a few new listeners here. We've picked up some new people, so let's explain. When Steve goes on a cruise,
or goes away anywhere.
Anytime he's on a cruise, so he's without cell phone reception. He doesn't have Wi-Fi. He's not able to check his Facebook messages or go on like wrestling scoop websites or anything.
And I'm cheap. I don't pay for the fucking Wi-Fi.
He's not. So he's just like, guys, you're not going to hear from me for a week. And when that happens, things go
the first time Roman Reigns got leukemia.
Yep.
And the second time is the resignation of Vince McMahon.
It's gotten to the point where I'm terrified to turn my phone on as I get off, because the last time I had over 1,000 fucking breaking news alerts and messages from people I haven't talked to in 30 years are hitting me up. Roman Reigns has leukemia, and I'm like, what? I was like, I've been gone a week. What is going on?
Like, where the fuck is Steve? Oh wait, shit, he's out of the boat.
So
I can't imagine when you turn that phone back on.
Will get indicted while you're on vacation. Got it.
Oh gosh, that could be it.
That could be it. Although they've postponed the investigation.
They postponed the Janelle Grant one. They didn't postpone anything federally.
The federal they postponed Janelle Grant's thing because the federal government's trying to strap him up on something. So.
Oh God.
We'll see about that.
Just don't let it be a wrestling. Just not a wrestling death, please. Just not a death.
Yeah, well.
No, it'll be.
That's what happened to Vince. I texted him. I'm like, dude, where are you? Why aren't you in the group? Oh, I'm driving. What's the matter? I'm like, shit. When you pull over, let me know. He's like, okay, what? I'm like, Bray Wyatt died.
Yeah, that was one where I was in the car. Yeah, the other one that was weird. I had to
wait for him to pull over. I'm like, I'm not sending you that while you're driving.
Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, not while I'm driving. And then the other one, I was backstage at a comedy show, and I'm checking Twitter like 5 minutes before I'm going to go on stage, and they're like, "Rest in peace, Brody Lee," and I'm like, What happened? So I find that out 5 minutes before I have to go out and do 10 minutes of comedy. That's fun.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. Wrestling deaths are the worst. And, speaking of which, we always talk about all the specials, like A&E and all them, and they do all these documentaries and all this. The most recent one, which Al touched on last week a little bit, was the Eddie Guerrero one. I just watched it, actually. The other day, and I think it was Eric who said it was one of those that went 2 hours and you wish it was another 2. And he couldn't have been more accurate. If you haven't seen it and you're a fan of Eddie Guerrero, there definitely was stuff I didn't know, and I thought I kind of was in on everything, but there were a couple small things I didn't know, but it was so well done. And there's a lot of never-before-seen footage of Eddie. And, of course, there's a bunch of people that chime in and say things. And but it was unbelievable. It was really well done. Dave Abbey over at YouTube. Steve, I'm going to an indie show on Sunday afternoon. Let me know if you're interested in going. Which indie show is it, Dave?
Yeah, where you headed? If it's in New York, I'm trying to think it might be House of Glory, but it could be somebody else.
I will say, too, if we're talking about the A&E specials, the past one that was on this past Sunday was actually Ricky the Dragon Steamboats, and his was absolutely amazing, too.
Yeah.
Ricky's a fascinating, like, he's... I did a seminar with him once, and he told a lot of his, like... story coming up in wrestling. It was very interesting to hear.
He even brought it out. He brought the notebook that Macho Man wrote, all 90 moves for the WrestleMania 3 match, and he was going through it, and then they were showing the footage simultaneously as he would mention a number. So they would say 32, and he would say suplex. They'd say 21. He'd go inside cradle. He had it memorized, all 96 moves. They were quizzing him on the moves, and he could tell you what each one was by the number.
Yeah, because Macho was so particular about it. They had to memorize it. They worked on that match forever.
and it was great. I mean, they just created magic, and then they also talk about how he had to go. They went to a circus and they had a guy that breathes fire teach him how to do it because Vince said, "You're a dragon, you got to come out and breathe fire," and all that. And so very cool. Definitely check it out. I mean, they're all good. But the Eddie Guerrero one hits differently, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Steamboat's still alive. Yeah. We lost Eddie way too early, and he's one of those guys that should have died many times over before he actually did, and to think that he did once he actually did get clean and sober, and it's just it sucks. But
sure.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the top of the hour.
All righty, yeah.
Hey, we didn't get in trouble this week. Woohoo! Okay.
Right? No, this was a good one. We blew through that hour. That's crazy. A lot of stuff to talk about. Right? Yeah, there's still time.
A few minutes.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, we're live streaming all over the internet Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're on Twitter/X. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. And we're on Steve's LinkedIn particularly. We're on the what's this? The War Report. This is the Tag Me a Date page. My Facebook, the at @OSnapVince on Facebook, and my personal one as well, I guess. So we're streaming in a lot of places. Most of it is at Tag Me a Date. You can find it at Tag Me a Date, no spaces. You can find us on Facebook that way. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, most social media platforms at Tag Me a Date. All one word. And the Twitch is the only one that's different. It's twitch.tv/War Report, and that's also one word, WARREPORT. So you can hit subscribe on all of those. If you go to YouTube, type in Tag Me a Date, hit subscribe, and then hit the bell to get notified when we go live or upload a video. That's an easy way to do it. Or wherever you're listening, whatever page you're on, if you're on Facebook, whatever it is, just go there next week at 9 p.m. Tuesday evening. We're going to be there. Yeah, follow us on socials, do all that stuff. If you prefer we do have archives on both the YouTube and the Twitch that you can go back on, and the Facebook too, but that takes a lot of scrolling, I think. But if you go to the YouTube, that's probably the easiest way to do it. And then the audio version, if you prefer an audio version of the podcast instead of the video version, you can always go to your favorite podcast app, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play Podcast, or Apple Podcasts, whichever one of those you like. You type in Tag Me a Date, you type in the War Report, you're going to find us. If you're just searching for the War Report Wrestling Podcast, there are two on the podcast listings, called The War Report. And you'll notice by the icon next to the podcast and then the description of the podcast that it's going to be us. We mentioned Tag Me a Date and, all that stuff, Steve and Vince and whatever. We mentioned we throw things in there so that it's us, so we don't get confused with the other podcast that took our name 2 years or 3 years after we started and then try to do their own thing with it. So don't subscribe. I mean, I'm sure they're lovely people, whatever. But we're, So subscribe to ours, and then Ryan takes the audio, and within the hour of us going off the air, Ryan will take the audio and upload it to the podcast app, so you can take it with you wherever you're going. If you like to listen to podcasts while you're driving or whatever it is, you can do that instead via your favorite podcast app. And with all that being said, if you're feeling froggy and you're listening, if you're a morning radio listener here on the East Coast and you're looking for something to do, Thursday morning, 99.1 PLR, you can go to WPLR.com. I'm going to be calling in because, and I don't think I've said this anywhere live yet, so this is kind of an exclusive. I'm calling in on Thursday to talk with someone from the Connecticut Air and Space Foundation Coalition. And long story short, we're discussing the fact that I'm going to be flying in a World War I biplane on Thursday.
That's very fucking cool.
Now that's fucking awesome.
Cool is one way to put it.
Wow.
You're scared.
I mean, listen, the only thing is, I know that a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, one of these things crashed in Connecticut, and I'm sure it's not that one. And I'm sure I'm not going to crash, but I mean, Jesus Christ, this thing was shooting Nazis 80 years ago, and now they're going to haul my ass into the sky in it. I can't be a little concerned.
Oh, somebody please take a picture of that or videotape that, because talk about a shit stain.
I'm going to be wearing dark pants that day. I mean, it'll be a good time, but I have a feeling, listen, the takeoff in a regular commercial airplane, it's fine. You're in a nice comfy chair, you have your whatevers. I literally, this is like Snoopy on top of the house. The Red Bear. This is a Red Bear. The fucking plane, the Red Baron flew. That's what I'm going to be in the second. There's 2 little circles, and I'm going to be in one of them. I'm going to be in the back one. Am I in the gunner seat? I'm going to be shooting at Jerry's? I don't know. Yeah, maybe they'll have me fly in the gunner seat. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It should be Connecticut on Thursday.
It should be fun. WPLR.com. It's happening on Thursday, and then I'm going to be on the air on Friday as long as I live to talk about it. So that'll be fun.
Are they going to be streaming you while you're up there, or like?
I mean, I'm gonna figure out how I can. Yeah,
find out. I gotta be listening to this on Thursday.
Well, my phone. I'm gonna be recording my phone. So no, I'm on the air to talk about it in the morning, and then it's gonna happen at 4 p.m. So I'm gonna have my phone with me. I don't know if I'm gonna be live streaming or I'm just gonna be taking the phone and recording footage with it. Either way, you're gonna get footage of my ass in a goddamn World War I. Yeah,
that's
airplane.
Awesome.
My hole! Yeah, that's the my hole. I guess we'll see what happens with my hole inside of the airplane. WPLR.com if you want to see that, or follow us on social media. I'm sure we'll share it. All right, guys, that's it. We'll be back next Tuesday, 9 p.m. on Eastern Time.
Well,
thank
Steve
you so
might
much.
be, Vince. You might not be.
Right, yeah, pending Thursday's flight. Thank you, David Rosca. Thank you, of course, Tara, for chiming in. Thank you, Dave A. For with your comments as well. And if you want to join the comments, we are here every Tuesday, 9 p.m. We love having comments. Throw them in the chat. We'll do the best we can to answer them. I mean, we even talk about women's gymnastics when somebody asks. So, I mean, ask a question. It doesn't even need to be relevant, right? All right, guys, with that, we'll be back next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of the War Report After Dark. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good one.
Thank you.